All right. Welcome to From the Inside Out podcast, where I'm your host, Greg Washington, and I'm super excited today because I have a very special guest, a great brother. He's doing great work in the reentry space, and I'll allow him to introduce himself today.
Thank you for allowing me to be on your podcast. My name is Ladji Ruffin. But first of all, I'm a father, a grandfather, and a husband. But for the most part, my work, I work with individuals visually impaired or blind. And I also do reentry work as well, just helping individuals making a transition, working with individuals with mental health challenges as well as substance use disorder. So, but, I love my title, grandfather.
Okay.
And so I love that. But thank you for having me.
Yes, man. I'm so excited because, we've been dealing with this narrative. How do you punish a child? And when I say how do we punish a child, I know most people, if you're a parent, just like he said, he's a grandparent, we think about things that happen when our kids are adolescents and they're doing things around the house and they're doing things that's not pleasing to them, so we put them on punishment. But I'm not talking about that type of punishment when I say how do we punish a child. I'm talking about a criminal justice system that I really believe that a lot of young people, they just have ignorance of. They don't know we have a criminal justice system that will punish them in a way that would impact their life for the rest of their life. So I'm excited because from the Inside Out podcast, we use real life stories, real life testimonies to motivate, to educate people on the issues that we feel like that's important. So, Mr. Ladji, I would like for you to just start sharing what were your experiences in life, earlier in life, with the criminal justice system?
Thank you. That's a good question. I didn't really understand mental health
Okay.
or substance use. Didn't really have a name for it. Didn't really understand what I was going through at a particular time at my young age. I just knew that I was just angry, and I knew that something was going on with me, but I didn't really understand why. So this caused me to get into a lot of things that I didn't really understand at the particular time, didn't know the level of seriousness that was going to happen. And this would lead me at a very young age, a teenager, getting into the court system, facing a life sentence. And at that time, I just, I think about it now. And one thing that I didn't really understand was that, I didn't know how to articulate myself or even how to deal with my emotions properly. And this is what wound me up into the criminal justice system at a younger age, facing a life sentence as well as being convicted of a life sentence as well.
All right. So, Mr. Ruffin, what you're telling me is you faced the criminal justice system. How old were you?
I was 19.
You were 19 years old, faced with a life sentence. Man, that had to be pretty scary. Mm-hmm. Did you have any criminal history prior to that?
I had a juvenile offense that, I just got in a little trouble, but it wasn't on the magnitude of what I was facing at 19.
So at 19, you were faced the criminal justice system with the life sentence. What are some of the thoughts that went through your head while being in court? Kind of tell us, set the stage for us, because I'm hoping somebody 19 years old is listening to this podcast and they'll be able to learn from you, Mr. Ruffin, like what that experience was like.
Well, it was scary. It was scary and blaming. I blamed everybody. Blamed everybody, but not pointing the finger at myself. Trying to really understand what I was going through, and I didn't even think about. Wasn't thinking because all I know was I was scared. At the bottom line, I was just scared because here it is. I was in a county jail with older adults, men that didn't know at all. And here it is that all these lawyers and going into a court system that I don't know nothing about. I was kind of like, what are y'all gonna do with me? You know, all I was hearing was, you know, hey, you're gonna face a life sentence. And I was like, you know, what is that? Not really understanding that. You know, what do that mean? You know, some inmates say, well, won't you just play something's wrong with you, like, you know, for lack of a better word, you know, the word I used back then was crazy. Won't you just play crazy or something wrong with you? But then I looked like, you know, that's something that I can't play with and I can't really understand. So for the most part, I was just fearful, just scared.
Fearful. 19 years old, facing a criminal justice system with a life sentence, that is something to be fearful of. Education-wise, had you finished high school? How far did you go in your education?
Well, I just graduated from high school, and I got accepted to college. I was going to Fort Valley State College prior to me going into the, you know, getting into the jail.
So you went from finishing high school, getting prepared for going to college, but instead going into a criminal justice system.
Yes, that's correct.
What year was this?
1994.
So 1994. So we were in an era, and I want you to elaborate a little bit on your personal experience. You know, in the early 80s, late 80s, you know, they had this, you know, this word out that, you know, young people was wilding, and, you know, we were very violent, and we were just like creatures of habit, like, you know, almost like we was in the caveman age, and that people were scared of people, young people our age, because you and I are close to age. And so going into this criminal justice system, you're 19, facing a life sentence, just finished high school. Did you have any education on any laws? Did you have a paid attorney? Did you have a public defender? Like, what was it that educationally was working in your favor in this situation?
That's a good question. Thank you. I didn't have no really working knowledge of just actually what I was facing. Of course, due to our economic situation, I had a court-appointed lawyer. So this was a man that, you know, I just first met, and I was just praying that, you know, he was going to represent me correctly. But, you know, in the county jail, you're hearing that, you know, court-appointed lawyers, they're not going to help you. They're going to sail you down the river. And then he was not really helping me understand my situation. The only thing that he was doing was just, you know, hey, won't you plead out? Not really giving me the services that I really need to help, because I know something wrong with me, and I'm telling him, hey, something is going on with me, but he didn't have no I want to say concern that he didn't care about, you know, mental health. He didn't care about me being so young, being faced within this criminal justice system. The only thing he was just saying, hey, I'm here to represent you, plead you out, and you just another case.
Wow, man, that's disturbing. So at 19 years old, all he telling you is to plead out to the life sentence that you're about to receive anyway. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's scary, man. So what were some of your interactions early into the system? So what county you was in? Was this in the state of Georgia?
Yes, I was in Bibb County, Macon, Georgia.
You was in Macon, Georgia, Bibb County, 19 years old. I can only imagine. So journey with us a little bit. So you went before the judge. The judge gave you a life sentence. Did he give you a life sentence with parole, with the possibility of parole, or life without? Like what was the extent to what the criminal justice system punished you?
Well, he gave me life with parole.
Gave you life with parole. So 19 years old, life with parole in the county jail. Now start taking us on this journey of entering into the system. So if a young person is watching this video, this podcast, I want you to educate them truthfully. The fears, the factors, the things you didn't know. Just take us on a little journey right quick.
Okay, thank you. So I started out at Smith State Prison, in Glenville, Georgia. At that time, it was called a level 5. You know, in Georgia prisons, they were levels or close security camp.
Okay.
So most of these was the individuals that had life sentences like me, that had violent charges, right? So, you know, my first day there, didn't really understand where I was going. I slept with my shoes on, my boots on. They gave us these boots, and I remember sleeping with my boots. And I remember my roommate coming in there talking about, "What you doing?" You know, but I was very fearful of what was going on. But one thing that I can say, the men in there, they went through the same thing I was going through, right? And, you know, don't get me wrong, you had your predators in there, but you did have individuals that just really just took to me because I was young, and didn't really want to see me kind of go a wrong route. I was hot-headed, wanted to fight all the time, but they kept saying, get a book in your hand. Get a book in your hand. And all I just remember, the voices of my mother was telling me that, you know, hey, education is going to be your way that you kind of help. And what I mean by education is that understanding what I was going through, understanding mental health, and understanding that I really need some help. So the men in there was really kind of just helping me understand where I was going and how I needed to get where I needed to be. And then so just start educating myself. At the time, they took out all education out the prison system.
Wow.
Bill Clinton, you know, signed the bill that took, you know, excluded individuals with felony charges to get higher education. So they took all that out. So the library became my education platform, where the first learning how to speak, learning how to sign my words, because, you know, I spoke a lot of slang words, a lot of cuss words. So, you know, just moving forward within my life, I went into this program called the Faith and Character-Based Program that helped aided me into learning about reentry, learning how to type. This is where I learned how to type. And this is where we taught self-class.
If you like this content, please like and subscribe.